Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Kaba Ilco number 15395NB in a 2060 finish. This cylinder that we have here is keyed differently, and it is a, they say that it's a key and knob cylinder. The 15395 would be appropriate for knob or lever sets. They say it's a universal key and knob. It can also be used with lever locks as well, and that's because you can install the tailpiece either vertically or horizontally, which, depending on the installation, basically comes back to being horizontal. So what you're going to get in the package is a solid brass cylinder plug, solid brass cylinder housing, a couple of original look-alike type keys, and we're going to go over the Keyway in a moment. This is an NB, is what they call this. This is retained with a C-clip that's on the back. You can see evidence of the C-clip here. It has a small retaining ring, and then it has this true arc style ring where you need the pliers that when you grab them, it'll force the fingers out in order to spread that out, and that will permit you to very securely keep your tailpiece on and in position. Okay. If we're going to do a lever lock, just trying to get that spread and put on. Okay. We're going to do a lever lock. We're going to install that vertically because in a lever lock, that cylinder is going to be laying on its side, and the tailpiece needs to be horizontal when it enters into the cam driver, I think is the proper term for that item in a lock. Okay. Now let's go over these tailpieces that are included. You're going to get 3 of them, 3 different lengths. That's the only difference between them. From the shoulder to the tip, about 5/8. That one's tagged SD. Middle length is tagged SA, and that's about 15/16. The long one is just tagged S, and that's about 1 1/8. Okay. Sometimes I've had to grind them. Sometimes I've had to literally make them smaller. This is a very generic type of design, this part number. It's going to fit into lots of different grade 2 knob, grade 2 levers, maybe some grade 1 material. Depending on the knob design, these tailpieces might work, and they're likely going to work. Sometimes you do have to modify them in length, like I said earlier, and I have had to do that. You want to be sure that you don't over-modify them, because when the key turns, you want that tailpiece to move as well, and I've made them too narrow in the past where the turn of the key has had to be has had to go beyond what it would normally go beyond, so I've had to remake a tailpiece. So you don't want to necessarily do that. So this little spring part here can come off. You're going to put your tailpiece in, whatever the right length is, and you can probably just use that to snap it in, as I did earlier, to test your lock set, and then pull it out, and then put your permanent ring onto all of that. That'll keep it all secure. Now, let's take a look at what this part number actually means. The 153, I know that's going to tell us that it's going to be a key and knob, key and lever type universal scenario. They do make a 159 where it's going to be the same concept of levers or knobs, but it gives you a threaded cap style and then deadbolt tailpieces that can run as lazy action. So if you have no intention of putting this into a deadbolt, don't order the 15995. Stick with the 15395. Now that 5 at the end, that can be a 5 or it can be a 6. A 5 means that it is drilled 6. There are 6 chambers drilled in here, but it's only pinned 5. There are only 5 cuts on the key. It's a 5-pin length key blank. If you change that to a 15996, it's still drilled 6 chambers in the Bible. That's what this portion is called, the Bible. But it'll be pinned 6, and it, of course, will include a 6-pin length key blank. Now, this is the NB That's a composite. It's called HR1. HR1. Let's take a look at what HR1 could be. HR1 is a brand called Harlock. Now I knew that just because I did. I don't know that I've ever really seen an original Harlock cylinder. But the interesting thing about seeing the NB, which I don't know what NB really stands for from Ilco when it's an HR1 type code that you can tie back to Harlock. You can see the key blank part number that you would order. This is a 1014C. If you needed to order some of these key blanks, it would be at Ilco, Kaba Ilco 1014C. And how I'm deriving that information is from the link below this video to the manufacturer's page. There's a link to the key blank catalog where you can Control F, HR1. You'll find the section where it's located. You'll be able to find Harlock. You can then find the 1014C. You could even search for Harlock and find in the rear of the catalog other references to the name Harlock as well. You'll find additional encyclopedic information. And generally what you can do is also find what a code might be for the manufacturer's original key blank number. And I believe this was SE1 by Harlock is what it was called. Okay, that key blank catalog will allow you to get more information if you bounce around. Go to the front, go to the back, go to the midsection. Control F is how you do that most easily. Okay, so if you've got a Harlock, this is going to take a Harlock key, and the key blank catalog will allow you to review a silhouette of the keyway of the broaching and the cylinder plug. It's not as if you're looking at this key from your eyes to the tip of the key. It's as if you're taking this and putting it down onto the paper. So when you look at it, you have to imagine you're looking down in the cylinder, not at the tip of the key. And if you're holding a key in your hand and trying to identify it by looking at it this way, you have to flip that over in your mind's eye because you're dealing with the opposite image. So interesting. You might have, a northwest side of Chicago, you might have a building literally built in 1922. It's a 20-unit apartment building. The front door lock is still installed today like it was decades and decades ago. It's got a Harlock on it. Okay, great. Let's say that there is a Maison Keying system, which Maison is French for house. It basically means it's a method by which all of the 20 apartment units can run through that front door, that Harlock cylinder, with their apartment key, and then go through that door to their apartment key, but none of the apartment keys work each apartment. They're just all individual, but they'll all pass that front door lock. That's a really bad idea to key those in that way, because the first time someone moves out, you have to rekey that cylinder. If you tone that down into a much smaller, like maybe a 3-flat concept, you get the idea. And if you're a locksmith, you'll certainly want to dissuade people from Maison or intentional cross-keying, because of the problems that you have when you need to remove or extract a bitting from working that cylinder. Anyway, the point is, there's a Harlock on the front of this door built in 1922. You want to have your apartment key still work your door. Well, you can't find any Harlock locks, okay? Because it's the year 2019. But you can sure buy a Schlage A-series knob or a Schlage AL-series lever, and you can sure make this work into that lock. Or an Arrow, or a Yale, or an import, on and on and on. And that's where you might use this. Okay, so being of solid brass construction, that's going to permit the manufacturer to have incredibly good tolerances on their equipment. The small tolerance, I should say. You're going to enjoy very faithful, smooth operation out of this for years to come. The factory can produce 15395s and lots of different, as you can see from, if I didn't already mention it, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up the brass cylinder catalog. From in that catalog, you're going to find the 24 or so different keyways that they can do. So they can technically do that kind of stuff on lots of their, those several and many keyways in their cylinder configurations, whether it be key and knob or key and lever, or key and knob, lever, deadbolt, or mortise cylinders or rim cylinders, etc. Different colors, different capabilities of keying the material. In mortise cylinders, different lengths, rim cylinders, different configurations of rim cylinders. The key blank catalog is also a handy tool if you want to try to find additional information on their 2-letter codes that they have. In this case, the NB, because in that brass cylinder catalog, you're going to find those codes, which I wouldn't think NB stands for Harlock at all. So you do have to look it up, as the bottom line. Also on that manufacturer's page, you will find other additional encyclopedic documents, past versions of these catalogs, and their storefront hardware catalog. Kaba Ilco has a relatively new line of storefront hardware worth looking into. Any questions on the Kaba Ilco? They're part number 15395NB 26D. It's also available in an 04 finish, which would be satin brass, and that's just the face of the cylinder plug. Or any other Kaba Ilco product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.